The only thing that Arthur Jackson has ever fabricated is aluminum. Before this trial began, I told you what you were going to hear about Arthur Jackson. I told you what his priorities were. That he wanted to protect his company, Flinders Aluminum. I told you that he would protect that company more than anything else in his life. That's who he was. He protected the company more than his marriage. His wife left him, broke up with the girlfriend. His personal life, it doesn't look pretty. And that's what the defendant wants you to focus on. Because if you focus on that man's personal life, you don't want to give him an award. But that's not what this is about. This is about Arthur Jackson protecting his company and Mismo doing the same for its clients. They think they've got it here. Because look, Mr. Jackson, he's a jerk. We don't have to pay. Never mind that they accepted his money for year after year after year after year. There was never a no jerks clause in that contract. They never said, oh no, Mr. Jackson, you've got a mistress. We're not going to take your money. But now that he's asking for their protection, they're making him come to court and expose himself. Do you think this is comfortable for him? You think it was comfortable for his wife to have to come up here and testify? Think about Janice Jackson. Think about her testimony. What motive did she have? She does not like him right now. And we can't blame her. But even Janice Jackson says Arthur would never hurt the company. That's why he insured the company. That's why he paid those premiums even when the company was going down. He wanted to protect his employees, his customers. The only thing that was going right in his life. Keep it safe. Trust Mismo. Mismo, the defendant showed you a picture of the plant before the fire. To Arthur Jackson, this isn't just a picture. This is a symbol of everything he had ever worked for in his entire life. Much less everything he'd ever done right. That's what this building is to Arthur Jackson. And they have the audacity to suggest that he would burn it down. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be easier to believe that Arthur Jackson would burn down his own home than that he would do one bit of damage to that company. The defense suggested to you that the Arthur Jackson that you heard testify, the Arthur Jackson who you've heard describe, that he wasn't really that man at all. He was someone who would just lie and fabricate to get what he wanted. There's been no proof that Mr. Jackson was that kind of man. Not at all. Remember, in the beginning of the trial, I said, look for any example in this trial of Mr. Jackson doing anything that would hurt his company. It's just not there. Still, they haven't shown you anything to prove that. So they say those design plans that he was working on, they burned up in the fire. How convenient. Convenient, they called it. It was not convenient for this to happen to the one thing that mattered to him. Mr. Jackson's not asking for a windfall here. When you fill out the jury verdict form, which I'm going to put up on the projector, it asks you for the amount of money that you would award to Mr. Jackson. And what Mr. Jackson wants you to put in that box is exactly what his policy says he is entitled to in the event of fire. Not a penny more. Ladies and gentlemen, the burden in this case is on the defendant. Think about that for a minute. In most cases, the burden is on the plaintiff, the one who brings the lawsuit. But in this case, as the judge will instruct you, 100% of what makes up the plaintiff's case is stipulated. There was a contract, there was an insurance policy in place, it had been paid. No question. The coverage amount, not in dispute. The defendant is stipulating to 99% of this case, except that one part where they say, no, he started the fire. The one part that they can squiggle out of. I want to leave you with one more thought. I want you to think about the Arthur Jackson who you met. Maybe a jerk, loved his company, didn't pay enough attention to his wife. He showed you on the stand, he's not proud of that, no. I want you to think about Marie Williams. I think we all know Marie Williams is not happy with Mr. Jackson. The situation upsetted her. She had every right to be upset. Is it possible that the emotional situation that she was in affected the way that she perceived events? Think about your own lives. The judge will tell you can use your common sense. Have your emotions ever affected the way that you've seen something? Have you ever met someone for the first time and thought they were not a very nice person just because you were kind of in a bad mood? And then you later find out, oh, he is a nice guy. I was just in a bad mood. And that's just a small example. Miss Williams says that Arthur Jackson told her that night of the fire, that night of the pre-planned fire, he told her, Marie, go home. Why would he say that? Well, he wouldn't want her to die, right? Presumably. He was about to start a fire. But then what did he do next? He left. That's undisputed, ladies and gentlemen. Arthur Jackson walked out that door, leaving Marie Williams there, presumably to die if she didn't do what he said. But all he said to her was, Marie, go home. This is someone who he had been involved in an affair with for years. But he's just gonna leave her there. Hope she actually leaves. Otherwise, she will die a horrible death, along with everything else I've ever cared about in my entire life. Does that make sense to you? Is that consistent with the man who you listen to? Ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you listen to your own common sense, that you evaluate the witnesses for yourselves, that you realize that the defendant is doing the one thing the defendant can do in this situation and pointing at his personal life because they don't want to pull out their wallets. Protect him. Protect his company. Please find in favor of Mr. Jackson. Thank you.